Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm a food truck business coach and author of Food Truck 101, Beginner to Winner. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. How do you motivate a cashier and a cook to give you more than minimum wage effort? First, you got to recognize that motivation is not an empty smile and just talking fast. Motivation is the reason for doing something. Whether it's serving food, cleaning the dishes, cooking, each person on your staff has a reason for working and you need to find it. Ask your staff, just point blank, why are you working? And your answers will be things like, I got to pay bills, I got a car I want to buy, I got a kid to put through college, I've got whatever the reason is. What you want to do is take those answers and put it into a visual form. Kind of like a staff bulletin board. Put it near your window where people take the orders, where they pass the food out, and put those pictures and those photographs there under the title that says, The Reason I Work Hard Is. And then remember to change out those images every so often so that the staff will constantly be watching the board. You obviously want to put the board out of sight of your guests, but still you want to be as close to the action as possible. Nothing will light up your cashier like seeing the photo of their children right before they have to take an order from somebody. And a young cook that's looking for their first car purchase, they need that reminder to get them out of the weeds whenever they get super busy and super behind during dinner service. You want to set goals and you want to review them, and then you want to reward them. A cashier should know what your sales goals are for something you're going to suggest to sell, like desserts. Figure in the average tip amount that your guests normally leave for your business, and then demonstrate to your cashier. Say, look, our guests normally tip 17%. If you're able to sell this $6 dessert, this is how much more money you would have in your pockets. Now, if we multiply that by the number of desserts you could potentially sell on a shift, that turns into folding money, and they'll get excited about that. So you want to communicate throughout the shift with your cashiers. Talk to them about the progress they're making. If you can, run a report and say, okay, so far we sold 12 desserts. Our goal is 20. Let's move towards that 20. Because remember, any great coach is moving up and down the sidelines, and they're doing that all throughout the game. They're not just sitting back going, I wonder what we should do. You need to run around and do the exact same thing. You're not an employee. Even if you have service or cooking related tasks as a part of the job you normally do, you still have to lead the group of people working on your food truck. For your cooks, for instance, the goals should relate to something like cook times or waste amounts or the number of items that get returned for remakes. When you establish the goals, and you got to review the goals throughout the shift, throughout the day, at the end of the day, and then reward them when they hit the goals. You want to ask for input when you're talking to your staff at the end of the day. How come we had this much waste? Or how come we had this little waste? The idea is to get them to communicate with you what happened so you can duplicate the good things. This is why we had so little waste. We need to do this again and again and again. And then when they have exceeded or broken something, or something is higher than you expected it to be, the waste, for instance, is too high, then you look at what contributed to that and how can we not do that again? What can we do better to make sure we don't have so much waste, so many recooks? So again, you're going to duplicate the good results, but you got to have information to be able to duplicate it, and then make sure you give feedback on all of the goals. If it was missed, you still got to give them feedback and how they can work harder and better the next day to achieve the goal. And then when you do hit the goal, above all, celebrate that success and then thank them for a job well done. Rewarding your staff is a must. If you think their pay is enough, then you're not a leader, you're just a tyrant. Rewards can range from just increased off-duty discounts or even a higher discount when they're working. Hey, I'll give you 50% off the meal or 75% off the meal, or I'll give you a free meal if you do X, Y, and Z. It needs to be something that's tangible, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary bonus. Small things like a lapel pin. If you sell 50 desserts, I'm going to give you this cute little pin to put on your lapel, or I'm going to give you this little pin to attach to your name tag that shows you're different than all the other employees that I have working for me. Or you can put this on your brim of your hat. Whatever mechanism you can come up with to reward people, something they can look forward to collecting, is a good thing. Because if you've ever worked anywhere and had like an engraved name tag, people hang on to those for decades. I've got name tags from when I worked at Wendy's. I got name tags from when I worked at Rax. Back then they gave you an engraved name tag after you worked for them for a year. And then they gave you a little pin to plug into it after you've been with them 5 years. And then there was a fancier name tag if you stayed with them 10. It's the same idea. Give your people little rewards that are not very expensive, but things that make them feel like you care about them being there. When you look at setting a goal, make sure it's high but achievable. So for example, if your average day you sell 30 desserts, you want to set the bar to something that's high but achievable. So maybe 40, maybe 50, whatever the dessert is or whatever the product is. And you can do the same thing for the Cook's line. Say you have on average 2 orders a day come back as being mismade. Set the goal at 0. Say you have $10 a day in various forms of waste. Set the goal at $5 in waste. If you actually have mechanisms to time your orders, set a goal for being 1 minute faster than your normal average time is. All of those things give people a reason to work harder at something. People like knowing they achieved a goal. And if you have the little rewards associated with those goals, they like it even better. Because what you're wanting to do is associate good emotions with getting a well done job. And that increases the odds that it's going to happen again and again. When you go to hire people, have them fill out a questionnaire. And you're going to ask them just really generic things like, hey, what's your favorite candy bar? What's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite cartoon character? What's your favorite video game or board game? Do you have a favorite vacation spot? And just anything else that you can brainstorm, and then you want to turn that into a small, affordable reward. So I want you guys to think about you and your past work life, whatever that career was. I want you to think about just you doing your job one day, and your boss comes up to me, your old boss comes up to you rather, and says, here's a candy bar, and it happens to be your favorite candy bar. And then you realize that the candy bar has a little handwritten note wrapped around it and says, you have a great day. Read this card. You open up the card and it says, great job. I love what you did with, and then whatever your past job was. I loved how you took care of that. You set the standards I want in my business. Thank you so much for a job well done. And they sign their name. So for a couple of bucks, candy bar, a handwritten note, you feel pretty motivated to duplicate whatever you've done to cause the boss to give you that little teeny tiny reward. You feel a little bit more loyal to the boss, and you go home with a sense of pride because the boss took time to notice you did something really good and then gave you a small reward for it. Not everything is tied to money. Sometimes it's how people feel about the job that they're in makes them want to stay there. Your boss invested just a little bit of time and a little bit of money in you, and he's going to gain the reward for the next several shifts and maybe for the next several weeks from having spent a couple of dollars in a few minutes handwriting a note. But all of those things had to be meaningful to you. And if you know what buttons your employees like pushed, like what their favorite candy bar is, if they like to go to Disney World, you can get a picture of Mickey Mouse or the castle or whatever. All of those things add up to them appreciating you as a boss because you took time to get to know them on a personal level. So you can motivate your staff, and it doesn't mean you have to give them a $5,000 a week bonus. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you find all the information helpful in your food truck business, please consider becoming a monthly supporter of the podcast. Hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep me going. If you guys need a business coach to help your food truck reach its full potential, check out all my affordable services. The links are also in the description. I've got a Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We got a whole bunch of awesome members. They're at all levels, from brand new, just dreaming about a food truck, to decades-old veterans. They're there to answer your questions, and they're there to help support you if you need it. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Come back tomorrow because you know I got a whole bunch more to say.